Adam's Film Reviews, Fantasy Island 2020.
There is an elevator. In the elevator, you press the button to the floor with no name. Behind those doors, there's a life you always dreamt of.
The plane. It's here. This weekend, you will be our guests.
Here, anything and everything is possible.
No service. It's not everything is possible.
Good evening. I'm Mr. Roarke. Let me officially welcome you to Fantasy Island.
Fantasy Island! I'm curious how this all works.
What if your fantasy involves a person from your life?
Holograms, like Tupac.
What if it's somebody who died?
Tupac.
So, what's your fantasy?
Revenge on a childhood bully.
Your life is about to change. I hope you're ready.
From one Blumhouse production to another, Fantasy Island, or as the film's opening title says, Blumhouse's Fantasy Island, introduces us to an island off the coast of somewhere which promises to fulfil your every fantasy. For a price. A prequel to the 1977 morality fantasy drama of the same name, Fantasy Island introduces us to a Mr Roarke, a white-suited businessman rumoured to have purchased the island from the natives for a couple of crates of rum. Introducing himself as the island's keeper, Mr Roarke welcomes a group of new guests to the island. The guests, said to have won a competition to have their every fantasy fulfilled, are businesswoman Gwen Olsen, former cop Patrick Sullivan, step-brahs JD and Brax, and the troubled, angsty Melanie Cole. In no time at all, our guests are swept up into their individual fantasies. For JD and Brax, it's straight to the pool party to be surrounded by models, music and alcohol. For Patrick, it's an assignment to the US Army. For Gwen, it's a chance to start her life over with an old flame. And for Melanie, well, Melanie is an odd one. Her fantasy is to see her childhood bully Sloane humiliated and tortured, just as she was when she was at school. The trouble is, there's a little more to it. You don't get your fantasy fulfilled without a hefty price tag. Something I feel should be made more clear on entering the island. As Mr Roarke puts it, there is only one rule, that each guest has one fantasy that they must see out until its natural conclusion. For better or for worse. As we see in the trailer, we're soon introduced to the true horror of this, where Melanie is torturing Sloane, only to realise that this is the actual Sloane, and she is actually being tortured. One by one, the fantasies of our group of guests begin to grind their heels in, twisting a knife as each fantasy begins to backfire. But the question soon becomes, maybe the fantasies going wrong are someone else's fantasy all along. Ugh. Fantasy Island's garbage. It's a glorified television movie with little depth, zero character, and a whole load of weird and convenient plot threads that left me feeling cold. I've got no interest in our guest, nor of the mysterious island and its faintly paranormal powers. In many ways, this felt like a child's imitation of the island from Lost. I understand this is extremely loosely connected to the 70s show, but I just can't help but feel this was a rushed attempt to parody the source material, while still delivering a sort of dirt cheap product for teenagers to come to on a Saturday night. It's a shame because writer-director Jeff Wadlow has surprised me in the past. Truth or Dare, while not an amazing film, hath at least found its feet and won me over with charm and, most notably, a cast I actually cared about. At its best, Fantasy Island had some interesting ideas, akin to a cheap Twilight Zone episode. At its worst, this had me rolling my eyes and wishing for the exit. There are two Blumhouse films in cinemas right now, and this isn't the one you should be watching.
We weren't brought here to have our own fantasies.
I want it, I got it, I want it.
We were brought here to be a part of something else.
I got it, I want it, I got it.
I'm your friend.
I've always wanted to hear you say that.